Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's Kickstart. My name is Gardy. Have Dr. Aaron Chapa in the studio. I'm excited, Dr. Chapa. It's going to be a good day. How are you?
Man, my feet are on the rock. I mean, I just think that is the bomb, man. That was a great, I don't know how God just plans those little transitions, but man, I just feel like my feet are on the rock today. I'm glad to be here, thankful to be here, and just glad to see you this morning. It's cold, brisk, or we think it's cold. I was talking to a lady from Michigan on Sunday at church, and she goes, I had a blanket on over me, and she goes, "What's wrong with you?" She goes, "It is not cold." I'm like, "I'm freezing cold. What are you talking about? I should have wore pants today." And, she being from Michigan, she was thinking to herself, like, this is not cold, because they've probably got 4 or 5 inches of snow up there probably right now. I don't know. But I am thankful, and I hope that you guys are too. And, man, it's going to be a great day. It's a beautiful yesterday and a fantastically beautiful today, so it's going to be good. And then we've got some cool stuff going on at Living Well.
What y'all got?
And so, we had our mommy meetup last week, which we've been consistently doing to encourage moms. Dr. Amber's heading that up and getting together with other moms and letting them know ideas and tricks of the trade on how to care for their kids when they get sick with fevers or colds or allergies or, bug bites, stinging insects, whatever's going on in the world of parenting. Because, Lord knows, stuff does happen, doesn't it? And, women make 80 to 90% of all the health decisions of the family. And that's okay. It's just what the statistical averages are. And so educating moms to know how to take care of their young takes a stress off the family, because now they don't live in fear of the unknown on when fever strikes or strep strikes or digestive belly pain strikes, that they have ideas and they know resources. And Living Well has always wanted to be a resource for all your health and wellness needs. So we're proud to have that going on every month. So stay tuned for the December group. And then tonight we have Don't Stuff It, Love It. And it is a class that is teaching you how to get through the Thanksgiving holidays so that without destroying your lifestyle, or without destroying your diet, without jumping completely off the wagon and rationalizing bad behavior and only setting yourself back. Going into the December holiday and then going into the new year. So we're preparing people. Guys, this is the time. Let's sow the ounce of prevention so that we can spare ourselves, or not spare ourselves, but get the pound of cure. And so, it doesn't take much when we just till the garden, work the weeds, and we keep the little foxes out of the hen house. And when we do what is necessary to take care of our health in the little things, it doesn't seem that big of a issue when, for health to try to get out of hand. But if you let the holidays, or you let stresses, or you let, whatever rationalization for bad behavior we rationalize to get off track, then we find ourselves, 2 pounds heavier this month than we were last month. Well, that doesn't seem like a big deal. But if you compound that over the course of a year, that could be pretty, tragic.
2 pounds for this month, and then probably 2 pounds for next month.
Yeah.
And then January is time to get back in shape.
That's right. But here's what tends to happen is, 4 pounds turns into 44 pounds. You know what I mean? 44 pounds turns into 74 pounds. And so people got to be mindful. Don't stuff it, love it. And so we're going to teach you some very fantastic tools to go through the holidays and go and indulge. We know you're going to go indulge. We know you're going to get into stuff you shouldn't get into, but we have solutions. And at Living Well classes that we teach every month, so always stay tuned. We want you to know that we have resources to give you to get through the holidays successfully, and so that you're not a statistical average where you're gaining 15 pounds through the holidays.
What are you going to do for this Thanksgiving? You're going to have the 8 people in your house only, and we're going to be locked down and inside?
We're in the wrong state for that, thank God. And
yeah.
I'm very thankful that we get to have a Thanksgiving. I've never thought we would be so thankful just to have luxury of gathering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do. Yes, we will be gathering. We will be. We never were really big singers. People say you can't sing. And I didn't realize that people actually sang at Thanksgiving, but whatever. If that's your jam, I'm jealous, because I sure like a good voice and a good guitar. And it's just maybe my family's not as musically inclined as we wish we were. You know what I mean? And we definitely get together. We'll have turkey. We'll have some Dr. Chopper friendly dressings that I'll probably indulge in, and I'm planning even somebody even recommended a really nice pecan pie recipe to me, so I'm hoping that comes over in the inbox.
Choppa approved?
No, of course not. It's going to be it'll be versions of approval, like, but it's still going to have sugar in it, I'm sure. And but at the end of the day, there will be some of what we're going to teach tonight at the class is what happens when you eat cheat foods and junk food. Because this whole month we're really spending on north to south, like working digestion and how the digestive tract works, and people understanding that we have, and we got to understand our digestive systems better. Mm-hmm. Because if there's one thing, the older we get, we were sitting in a seminar this past weekend, and the stat that I use is bad enough, but the stat that this lady used was even worse. I always say that, when you're in your 70s, you're producing stomach acids at 5 to 10% of what you were producing in your 20s. And that means that you don't digest food well. That means you're more prone to acid reflux, indigestion, bloating, gas, belching. You're having trouble breaking down food. And when you have problems breaking down food, your ability for, let's just use the protein conversation because the stomach's heavily involved in protein digestion, and is you can't convert proteins into essential amino acids, and those essential amino acids that only come from our diet, essential, that's what that word means, essential amino acids, it means that now we don't have, say, collagen matrix formation capabilities. So now we can't, we find our skin is real thin and frail. We bruise easily. We start noticing that the sagginess of our tissues. And these are the very things that people fight against and go get different types of treatments to cure. And they don't realize that it could be just the fact that they're not breaking down food that they're putting in their mouth well. And oftentimes, the older we get, the less we eat because they don't digest well. And they don't realize that now they're not getting enough calories to run their body's necessary needs. So they're accelerating the aging process, you see. And so that is just in the stomach. And we've got to recognize that if we support anything the older we get, is we've got to make sure that that stomach is breaking down the food in a way that prepares adequate, healthy, better digestion moving forward down the south line.
Dr. Choppa, I forgot to put my towel up, so you have to forgive me.
It's okay. I think you can put it up now. It's a great. If the dude don't move,
the dude don't groove.
The dude don't groove.
It's a fact.
Come on. It is a fact. This is truth here speaking. And then we have our Black Friday sale coming up November 27th. If you have a prepaid package in our office, you get a 20% off of all your supplemental purchases. If you are, all other patients will get a 10% off on all purchases, which is pretty amazing. And, we ask people just to email their orders over to info@justlivewell.com before November 15th, if possible. If you already kind of know what that's going to look like, that'll make sure that we can limit back orders and things like that. But, man, it's just a gift that we want to give back to people that are investing in their health. Guys, we already give discounts on our products because we care about you, your family, and recognize that, health can be expensive and alternative medicine isn't covered by a lot of insurance plans. So your insurance plan is investing in your health proactively. And so this is just an opportunity that we wanted to be a blessing back to you guys and give a Black Friday experience through health and wellness, because we don't know where else this is happening. And we're just proud to be able to do it and thankful to God that we can do it. And we've got a great team of people that are going to step in and try to get this to go off without a hitch. And we're going to have some little, issues, I'm sure. It's never perfect. But, this is a time of Thanksgiving, and we want people to be thankful for the health they have and the health that they can maintain moving forward in the future. So, make sure you take advantage of some of these things popping up here. So it's going to be pretty amazing. And so, again, we're talking about gut health this month, and we got a little derailed last week. So here we are. We're going to just keep it on. We talked about the brain the week before and how your digestion starts in the brain. Right? And when digestion starts in the brain, people go, what do you mean? Like food, the actual food particles go in my brain? No, just you seeing it, smelling it, tasting it, touching it. That experience activates different digestive enzyme capabilities to be in action, stomach acid production to be in action, so that your body is in better shape to absorb the food, because you're only as good as the food that you can absorb. And so if you're putting in good food, which we hope you are, and we want to teach you what good food is if you don't realize it, because people bring me food logs all the time, and they're laden with sugar. They're laden with inflammatory foods. They're laden with the 3 whites, the 4 deadly food additives, and the 5 most common food allergies that we've talked about on previous shows. And we want you to recognize that what your brain sees, smells, tastes, touches, affects your digestive tract. It's quite phenomenal. And so we want to help, you learn how to get your kids involved in activating their brain in a healthy way, to have a healthy appreciation that food is medicine, not just pleasure. We also want to teach you how to take, measures into your own hands when you got a kid that's got a fever, or you got a kid that's got a belly pain or a stomach bug, what you should be feeding them, and how we can, teach them the process of getting well and staying well one bite at a time. And so we always look at the brain as a measure of digestion because of, does the brain see the food as safe or not safe? Real or not real? Sometimes food or an all the time food? The brain is assessing those things. And what it allows you to start moving forward, because people never do what they want to do. They only do what they know how to do. So if they think that Twinkies are a good thing, they're just going to keep reaching for the Twinkie and not have any clue that anything's any different.
I was talking to someone the other day about food, and they were trying to get bigger. They were trying to work out and stuff, and they said they make it a point to not enjoy their food like at all. That they almost eat it like they have it portioned and they eat it as quick as they can, and they try not to enjoy it at all. And I guess what they're trying to do is break that habit of eating for pleasure, eating for enjoyment, and using it more as fuel. I just thought it was an interesting approach.
And at some level, I think there needs to be an emotional addiction that is broken to food, because, food has an emotional experience. We celebrate food around food. We at every party there's a food source. At holidays there's foods.
Thanksgiving, a lot of food, family.
And that's it. And so food really does drive a lot of the experiences people have. And I would say that when I did a 3-month no fruit, no sugar diet, and I mean, if a spice had a sugar source on it, I put it back. If obviously if it was a fruit that would potentially spike or alter my blood sugar in any way, I put it down. I never consumed it for 3 months straight. And I was quite amazed at inside the first 2 weeks. I didn't really think I had a blood sugar issue at all, but I wanted to chew my arm off. I mean, I legitimately wanted to chew my arm off. I was like, oh my gosh, I am inkling. I am like ravishly looking for a sugar substitute, something to, indulge in. And it took a good solid 2 weeks and a lot of Gymnema and Cataplex GTF to knock that craving and balance that pancreatic beta receptors so that my blood sugar was more stable, and I was fine after that. But then I went that full distance of 90 days, and I just randomly had that. That was just the time frame that I stuck to that plan. And then inside of the next 9 months, I went on the solid food vacation where I went 36 days with no solid food at all. It was 1.5 gallons of freshly squeezed juice every day. And that experience changed my emotional appreciation for food. But here's what I do know. It's like if you have no enjoyment to food at all, it's very hard to stick to anything, because stick to something like that for a long period of time. At some point, I hope that food kind of sort of tastes decent, right? But I get it, right? At some level, when you're in the beginning, that might be true. You have to go to an extreme place, break your emotional behavior, psychological behavior towards how you view food, because in America especially, we just have very disruptive brain food connection. Like, We market food that sizzles. We market food that tastes fantastic, and it'll sensationalize your taste buds, right? But really and truly, there's no nutritional value in what you're eating. And what we sell it as if it's got value. The only value is to the taste buds in the moment. So you get this nice dopamine hit, but only to be left wanting 3 hours later. And then you go and hit the snack machine and get you a Twix or get you a candy bar or something, some other chocolatey wonder that is satisfying for a moment, and then you're wanting again 3 hours later. So that's dopamine in the brain. That's neurotransmitter hormonal activity transpiring, and we want to help you recognize that we got to break that emotional addiction. And that's why we do detoxes, blood sugar resets, anti-inflammatory reset programs, 7-day, 10-day, 21-day detox experiences to help people work through those resetting phases so that they can break that emotional addiction. So I think ultimately I agree. Like, you have to get to a point where you have no emotional addiction to it and no pleasure in it at all, only to come back to finding some level of balance that is still going to get you the result down the road that you want.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like it.
So the brain is constantly evaluating stress, and so obviously the brain obviously whenever it is under a great deal of stress is going to not give you hunger signs and symptoms. It's going to give you all the survival signs and symptoms. Hey, don't eat right now. You need to run from the grizzly bear. Now, unfortunately, the grizzly bear can be metaphoric today. I mean, just with the idea that I can't go see my family in some states because of the mandates, the rules, the regulations, that you can't even, you have to eat and then put your mask back up, chew, and then pull your mask down. And come on, man, you're human. That's not ever gonna work. You know what I mean? And that's just crazy to me. And not being able to get with family is a sad thing. I mean, talk about, there's other psychological damages going to transpire that now we're going to have to overcome from a stress perspective. Post-traumatic stress, and I think that if you're not getting enough blood flow to your digestive tract because you're stressed out about this, that, or the other, then it's very difficult to digest food and absorb food and get the nourishment that you need from food. Because unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to just breathe air only or eat air as a fuel source. I need air. It's probably the most vital nutrient that we get access to. But when it comes to food, we still have to make sure that we're putting in good quality calories and in a good quality amount every day, consistently, more often than we're not, so that we're not finding ourselves inflamed, so we're not finding ourselves degenerating, so we're not finding ourselves in a state of accelerated aging. That is why people are looking to do all of these skincare programs to rejuvenate their tissues, because they're not feeding their tissues well to hold and maintain a healthy human-like structure. So we got to be careful not to be, overly exhausted. We got to make sure that we're not constipated. We got to make sure that the bowels are moving. There's so many assessment things that people can do day in and day out in order to create a healthy mental image of how the brain sees food, appreciates the digestive process, and if we can teach people, I've been teaching people this idea that if they eat 35 meals in a week, and they give themselves a free cheat meal on the 36th one, they can go eat whatever the heck they want, assuming that it doesn't derail them for 2 weeks, right? I had one or two patients that, like, their blood sugar was so unstable that they got into one chocolate cake and it derailed them for 2 weeks. Well, chocolate cake might not be on your menu if it derails you for that long, right? But what if you could do, a big old baked potato and a steak and, good fatty Brussels sprouts, bacon, and, onions all sauteed together with maybe some dates thrown in there, and you're like, oh, this is like candy, and that doesn't derail you. Well, then but you still feel sensationalized at the taste bud level. That could be a cheat meal. People go, oh no, I think cheat donuts and pastries. Well, okay. I mean, technically that is a cheat, and that as long as it doesn't derail you, so you have to ask yourself the question: how long does it take you to get back on track after you had the cheat meal? Because you should be able to go 35 great meals, one cheat meal, start over 35 great meals. You know what I mean? It should be literally that simple and smooth of a transition. But if you find that you're constipated for 72 hours and then you got a skin rash, you got a migraine for 4 days, that is an indicator that whatever food you put in as a cheat may be more detrimental to your health food plan than it is helpful.
Then it's not worth it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But here's what I always like to see people go through. I'd rather you have that experience so that you see it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge is nobody's teaching people how to experience that. Like, they don't teach people that food drove that. You got a headache right now? I bet you it's because of what you ate yesterday or what you ate on Sunday. Because you had a good, big old steak on Sunday and you're an A-blooded human, you don't digest red meat all that well, and all of a sudden you're constipated or your bowels, and you're like, no, it's not me, I'm not constipated. I had 2 bowel movements yesterday. Great. But what if it slowed your bowels down 15%, and that 15% slowdown backed up your liver, backed up your lymphatics, and caused your migraine? Oh, I never thought of that. Well, of course not, because you don't know the physiology. This is what I've learned in the trenches over the last 16, 17 years of clinical work. The body, just because you have good movement doesn't mean that you're moving what needs to be moved out. Mm-hmm. The average American has 10 to 15 meals caked up inside of them. 10 to 15 meals, Gardy. Do you know what happens when you have 10 to 15 meals caked up inside of you?
It's not pretty. I'm picturing it in my head, and it's not pretty.
It rots. That's right. It rots. Because at 100 degrees, which your body's 98.6 degrees, food begins to rot after 24 hours, 48 hours, and especially after 3 days. If you don't believe me, go throw a pork chop or a brisket in your oven at 100 degrees for the next 72 hours and see what your house smells like. Right? And so we don't want food to be stuck up inside of you. We want to help your body get what it needs out of the nutrients and then get rid of those nutrients. So assimilation, elimination is an important part of the conversation. And so when we're activating the brain, we increase the communication lines between the gut and the brain through supplements, digestive enzymes, through stomach acid support, through coffee enemas. And people go, coffee, what? Through addition of new spices. There's so many ways to activate brain-gut connections, and there's more communication through the vagus nerve from your digestive tract to your brain than there is from your brain to your digestive tract. There's 3 million more neurotransmitters in your GI tract than there is in your brain. I mean, I think that's right there just a fascinating thought that maybe your brain is your second brain. Your gut lining is your first brain. Maybe it's more than your brain, because it is the gateway to where all nutrients come in. Everything gets a play, a sampling right there in the GI tract for the whole body to know if it's going to get fed today. And what we just look at it as a hamburger or a steak or whatever, we don't realize that is now broken down in such a way that your body can heal and regenerate faster than it is degenerating and wearing out. And so we always are teaching patients, going south a little bit to the, after we start chewing our food, you got these glands in your cheekies called the parotid glands. And what these guys do is they are producing, saliva as a first line of defense, but they're also signaling to the hyoid ring in the throat, your tonsils, all with the tonsillar ring, and letting the tonsils know that there is something coming down the pike. It looked like a bacteria, and it slipped past me. I didn't get to, enzymatically break that down or deform it. So could you take it out? And then the hyoid ring steps in. Your tonsillar lymphoid tissues begin to grab hold of those little poisons, and those little poisons then are taken in and denatured, deacidified, and excreted right there on the spot before they even get into your esophagus. Pretty cool. And I think that in and of itself is an amazing thing that the parotid glands do. And the parotid gland then sends a message down to the stomach and says, stomach, guess what? There's I saw it, a parasite. He had a corkscrew behind, and in the English language they call that a spirochete, or maybe it was a bacteria, it was a strep or a staph type, or maybe it was a virus. I'm not sure, but I need you to be on guard. Pump out more acid. So there's more acid production, and that is the great thing, because now the stomach can, before it gets into the absorptive tissue of your major absorptive tissue of your intestinal tract, your small intestine, the stomach now is denaturing those foreign pathogens that are going to try to hurt you, and your stomach is going to kill them off by boiling them in a very nasty acid that they can't live in, and that's kind of cool. And then, but the parotid glands don't stop there. In the medical textbooks, the parotid glands are only discussed as being salivary enzyme producers. They only do have a function in the mouth. And I've just not seen that to be true. They also send a message over to the liver and say, liver, I need you to pump out more enzymes too, because there's something coming down the pike that your enzymes can break down the exoskeleton of that little pathogen, and that pathogen can't live if we get enough of those enzymes out there. Yes, there's other food sources too. There's about, 500 calories of food coming down. Make sure you pump out this much enzyme activity. There's a very large conversation and dialogue happening in your body the minute you smell it, taste it, see it, and get it in your mouth. And your body is already in preparation on how to break that down and how much of this needs to be produced, insulin, for example, or how much enzymes, how much bile needs to be produced so you can break down the fats and get ready for the absorption capacity. And so when the parotid glands are working healthily, they're also one more thing the parotid glands do that people don't even know where your parotid glands are. Let me remind you, it's in your cheekies. It's literally hiding in your up in the muscular areas of your TMJ, muscle clenching factor, and so the gland itself is a digestive enzyme producer, salivary gland in the mouth, but it also communicates to the immune system in the hyoid ring, which is in your throat, your tonsils, then it down to your stomach and over to the liver. But then it also activates detoxification pathways in the liver, because your mouth, would you say, is a portal of entry into the body? Yes, Gardy? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the any part of your body that is accessible from the outside world has a lot of neurological impact. There's a lot of nervous system activities that are monitoring health. Well, I mean, it's like having a fence. It's like having an alarm on your house. It's like having a guard dog. You want to make sure that your guard dog is trained, that your cameras are on, and your alarm system is in full working order, right? That makes good sense, because you are putting a substrate into a vulnerable area of the body that could potentially get into your blood and create an acidic factor, a overload stress burden of bioaccumulated waste, and bio just living, particulate matter, waste buildup, stuff that we are exposed to, metals, chemicals, which people don't realize it. Metal is affecting you. Like, it's affecting your brain. It's affecting maybe not everything in your life right this very moment, but it sure could be causing your ADD. It could be causing your chronic fatigue. It could be causing your migraines. It could be causing your body to not be able to handle stress well. Metals and chemicals are a big burden in the parotid glands. Very cool system. Activate aspects of your liver to detoxify those unwanted chemicals and metals that you're exposed to, whether you drink it, breathe it, or eat it. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So really neat system. And people never put a lot of onus or emphasis on this system, but I have seen kids that had a hard time, especially little boys that have a late blooming potty training issue where they pee the bed a bunch, wet in the bed at night. And the parotid glands, by feeding those, activated the detox pathways in the liver that allowed them to go to 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning before they had to, go pee, and they were able to make it through the night. And I think that if more parents knew that, they wouldn't be mad at little Johnny for peeing the bed. They would be like, oh, his system's toxic. What do you mean my boy's toxic? Don't say my boy's toxic. No, that's insulting. No, it's okay. You just got to be educated that this is life, man. And some of our bodies can break down and get rid of these toxins better than other bodies. And if you are in a body, a nurse suit that doesn't break down these chemicals and metals that we're exposed to, because people go, what metal are you talking about, Dr. Shaw? Well, what about the aluminum that we teach our kids to put on in the antiperspirants, or the artificial sugars, these neurotoxins, these chemical contaminants and preservatives that is in the soup that we're feeding them when they get sick? Like, we give them poison to get them well. Very weird. Instead of making our own broths, or the toothpaste that they're brushing their teeth with, or the water from the municipalities that aren't, I mean, they're better than, like, garbage water, but they're still dirty. There's testing that we can do to show this to people, and it's disheartening to know that we're putting this garbage in our body, and so when we show people that when you get into something as simple as high fructose corn syrup, everybody's heard of high fructose corn syrup. It's one of the deadly 4 food additives. And if you see that on the label, it's the number one source of mercury that you're getting exposed to each and every day. Mercury? Why would they do that? Because they don't care. It's all about, making it sweet so that you'll buy more of it. And it's so chemically addictive that you can't stop buying it once you tap into it. So we're always got to teach you to read those labels and know where these things are coming from. But thank God that we have a system that has been trained to go find these glitches. And in your kids that are developing at a ripe young age, we want to make sure that they have as little chemical and metal burdening possible so that their brains develop well, their hormones activate well, and that their bodies mature well. That's what we are after. So if you've got a little girl that can't, say, regulate a cycle, or they haven't started a cycle and they're, past, the age where they should be, or if you've got, just kids with migraines, or you got kids with skin rashes or behavioral challenges, these could all be indicators that the nervous system is under stress and needs to be detoxified. And we only think about the liver as being the detoxification system, but in some respects, as the liver is like the team A quarterback. It's the guy that you want to make sure is frontline center, healthy and strong all the time, because it involved in over 600 known biochemical pathways in the body, enzymatic activity in the body. Some people estimate that it's even every enzymatic and biochemical pathway in the body, but at least we know 600 known pathways. The liver is absolutely the giver. You got to take care of it. But what if there is a plan? What if there's a backup support? Like, no quarterback wins a football game, right? It's the whole team.
The team does.
The team wins. So if the parodids aren't pulling their weight, man, they're letting the left side weak, and then the quarterback gets whacked every time, and it's always under distress, and it just keeps making bad plays. Therefore, the parodids have a very strong place to play in regulating chemical exposure day in and day out as we're working people through the process of health and wellness. And so we work on these glands quite frequently whenever we're taking people through health and wellness. Always, like, it's funny, I look at my phone to see, like, how the stream looks, and if there's any questions that people are asking.
We have some. Which,
by the way, you can always ask questions, and Gardy will raise his hand and interrupt me. That's what Gardy was doing. He was raising his hand. But it was funny to me because it said, Tammy is watching you. And I'm like,
where is she?
Where is she? Oh, wait a second. Hi, Tammy. You're in the camera. Hi. Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, here's something else that I want to do one day, because Facebook started saying, okay, so Tammy Rodriguez is watching with you. Bring them on camera. I don't know what would happen if we ever hit that button, if it would request somebody to come on, and this is through Facebook. It's not through our software and broadcasting equipment. I'm just curious. I've been tempted. It's been happening for like a month, maybe a little bit longer. I'm just tempted.
Dude.
I'm going to try it one day.
I mean, we should totally try it. I mean, they just got a live question they want to ask Gardy. Let's just see how it goes and give it the old college try. I mean, the last thing that could happen is the show would blow up, and we'd have to just reset and start it all over again.
The other day we had one of the ministers on a radio show, and we did it on Facebook and everything else. But we opened it up for 20 minutes of phone calls, which we don't normally do, because I was like, I don't know, what if something happens, someone says something crazy, and I got to dump it. And they're like, well, if that happens, then you just dump it. But we got 43 phone calls in about 20 minutes, and we probably took about 20 of them. And it was awesome. I never been a part of that, but I was kind of just like handling the board and answering the phone calls and throwing it to him. But it was just really cool. So maybe that's something we could do.
Because I think that people probably enjoy. I've had many people tell me how much they enjoy the show, how much information that we pour out inside of the hour, and the information that we're delivering. But I always know that people have their personal question that they would like to ask. So I do encourage, if you have a question and technology is going to let us play that card, I am 100% all for you asking, asking a live question. That'd be a lot of fun to interact with people, because sometimes, the cool thing about doing digital radio compared to like just regular, on the airway radio, like if you're driving down your car, I can't see you, and I don't really know if you're even listening. Hey, listen, I got something important to say.
Pay attention.
And you know what I mean? But the reality is radio is a really weird on-off market. Like today, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we're talking about digestive health from north to south. So we've talked about the brain last week. Now we're talking about the parotid glands. We're moving into mouth digestion some more and going into some bitter herbs and things like that coming. And so we're talking, you got to constantly be reminding your audience, because you got new people tuning in to KHEA right now. And then you've got people that you have to bounce. They got to go to work or whatever, or they got to take an important phone call, or, whatever's going on. But with the digital stuff, it's kind of cool because I can see myself, I can see you, and I know that people can see us, because I see it at my office when we replay the shows. And then people tell me that, on Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that, how they tap into the podcast. And so I think that, digital, it'd be cool if it even pulls their face up so I could like see who I'm dialoguing with.
We got to get that FBI technology.
It's coming.
With the camera, with the cameras, the reverse Big Brother stuff. That
I think it's pretty amazing. Well, anyway, good morning to all you fine people out there. I'm so glad that y'all are watching and being a part of it. And Connie, you're right. The food industry is sad. And our diet is everything. And I'm thankful that you're thankful that we're sharing this message of health and wellness and teaching people, because, man, it all starts with food. All life starts and stops at the cellular level. And nutrition is the fundamental backbone that allows you either to spiral off out of control, which nobody wants to do, or to have traction, to be going onward, upward, goodward, and Godward, feeling great, living great all the days of your life. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. And I want people to recognize that what they put in their mouth does affect their longevity. That's how long you live, and your vitality, how much you can put into those days that you get to live on this earth. So if you are in your 70s and you haven't been investing much into your health, man, start today. I always like to say, when's the best time to plant an oak tree, Gardy?
Like 30 years ago, at least.
At least. But guess what? The next best time to plant that oak tree is when?
Today. Start now.
Start now. So if you need to start a walking plan today, start a walking plan today. If you need to start an eating healthy plan today, start an eating healthy plan today. If you need to have education on where to start, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center wants to be your health and wellness resource today. And so I encourage you to give us a jingle, 281-554-8600, or visit our website at justlivewell.com and take some of our health surveys, man. We got some great surveys up on the line that will help you kind of get started in assessing your health, because I'm shocked at the people that just don't know how to even introflect enough to see that their body's breaking down. They just assume, my headaches are because I'm getting old, or I've just been dealing with these skin rashes for my whole life and it's never going to get better, or my brain fog is so bad my brain is mush by 10 a.m. Whatever the health element challenge dealings that you're going through day in and day out, you don't have to live with those symptoms. I'm not saying every day is perfect, and I'm not saying that I don't have a bad day here and there, but for the most part, I'm thankful that I can manage the curveballs that come at me if I get into exposure of bad food, if I ate the wrong cheat meal, if I had a holiday event that I got into, or if I'm just worn out and run down because I put too many vitality hours in and I just need a little break and I need some rest. I've got nutrients that can help restore and create a recovery cycle that's faster than just relying on the lack of minerals in my diet alone. You've got to be on a supplemental program. You've got to be on a good nutritional diet plan so that you don't get caught up in and degenerating too quickly, because accelerated aging is real. People say all the time, 5 years ago I could do this, and 2 years ago I could do that, but I just can't do those things anymore. What happened? Why? And if you don't use it, you
lose it.
You lose it. And so we know that that's there, but we also know that anything your body, can develop, it can also what?
It can undevelop.
It can undevelop. Man, it's almost like you've heard this before, Gardy. I'm so thankful. And so the reality is digestion is where it's at. 80% of all health starts in the digestive tract. So if you could roll the dice at the gambling table and know that you had an 80% odd of winning, you're more likely to probably play, right? So you take care of your digestive tract, you take care of your liver, and you've got 80-90% of the game intact. It doesn't guarantee you to have perfect health forever. It doesn't mean that you're going to have the fountain of youth and you're going to live forever. But it does give you better odds at living a more vibrant, more vital, more experiential life because you have the Vim, Vigor, and Vip to keep on trucking, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we just want people to grab hold of is food is medicine, and the way your body digests that food, the way your body absorbs that food, and the way your body eliminates that food is all a part of the natural process that have to be dealt with. I was listening to a book called The Toxic Solution by, I can't remember his name. Molly will probably hear me and throw it up there, the author. But, I mean, it was just fascinating because, it's disheartening. And it's still, knowing what I know, it's still very sad to me how bad our food supply is. They estimate that there's less than 5 minerals in the soils that our plants are absorbing for you and I to live off of when we eat a spinach leaf or a kale leaf or asparagus or whatever, right? Now, people take it to an extreme and go, well, then fine, I won't eat any of those things. I'm just going to eat all the fried food, cooked food, junk food that I can get my hands on. Well, the problem is those things are worse. There's no nutriential value in there at all. And when there's no nutrient value in a substance at all, it becomes inflammatory. It becomes an accelerant to your inflammatory curve, and now all of a sudden your body's entering the gates of accelerated aging much faster, much earlier. And that's what we're starting to see. We're seeing babies today that have acid reflux and indigestion problems and colic and everything else, and we're giving them antacids, which, by the way, I'm not trying to be ugly or rude, but that is the worst thing that you can do for your baby's health is to put them on antacids. But Dr. Chapa, they're suffering. They have colic, and you just don't understand. Hey, I got 4 kids. I get it. I understand. But I'm going to tell you, if you're a breastfeeding mother and you have an acid reflux colicky baby, you're eating too rich of food. Something you're putting in your mouth is inflaming that baby through your milk. And as much as you don't want to hear that, I need you to hear that because you can change that. And you don't have to damage and destroy their digestive tract, number one. Number two, if you aren't able to breastfeed, which breastfeeding is 100% always the best, but if you have to resort to formulas, you have to find formulas that aren't loaded full of corn syrups and corn solids. You have to find them that aren't enriched with artificial milk proteins or soy proteins that are genetically modified and engineered. They can't have loads and loads of preservatives in it. You've got to start researching like what you're putting in your baby. And we just assume that these big box companies actually care about your kid. But no, they care about the dollar, and they don't really care about the quality of the nutrients that they're putting in. They're just selling a product. So we have to vet out the companies that we're allowing to feed us so that we're knowing that we're getting better quality nutrients. But when I was listening to this guy talk, I would listen to him, and he would say things, how much we need to be eating your brackish vegetables, your cabbage and your broccoli and your cauliflower, your asparagus, your Brussels, and making sure that you're cleansing your kidney and your lymph and your liver often and always. And the whole point of me sharing this with you is he also said people that think that their body doesn't need help is like expecting your AC unit air filter to clean itself on its own. It's just silly talk. You've got to go up there. The machine runs, right? 90% of the time it runs on its own, does everything it's supposed to do. But what is your job every month?
You got to change the filter.
You got to change the filter. I had a guy come in. He was coughing and hacking. Oh, my gosh, I think something's wrong with my lungs, Dr. Chapa. And I'm like, oh, did you finally move into your new house that you just remodeled? He goes, I did. And I'm like, okay. And I said, did you change your air filter? Well, I did. I did most of them, but there's one I can't get to. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll bring my ladder over and we'll change it. I mean, I'll do whatever I got to do,
Yeah.
right? And he goes, no, it's okay. My neighbor's got one, and I'll change it. So I put him on some support to, help him with non-infectious allergens that will clear the liver, the lymph, and the lung, and that helped. But when he opened up that vent and he saw what filth was caked up in that filter, he got the message.
Makes sense.
He goes, oh, my God.
Oh, okay. Now I see.
And so he had to help his AC unit do its job better, because all AC guys tell you, if you would have changed your AC unit air filter every month, like the manual says, you would have gotten an extra 5 years out of this thing.
Yeah.
Pay up,
Yeah.
And then they go, right? Life got too busy.
One quick question, and then there's a really cool comment. There's actually a couple they
bring
want
it
to
on,
get to.
bring it on.
So about that, do you think if we could open up the body and look on the inside, we would have that same reaction as looking at the air filter and be like, oh, now I get it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always have told patients, if I had the ability to reach in, Gardy, grab hold of your lymphatics and pull them out, pop them up against a concrete brick wall to cleanse them like a rug, and then insert them back into your chemistry inside of 5 minutes, this is how powerful your lymphatics are, you would be healed of whatever you got. It'd be that quick. And the challenge is you got to do that while the engine is running, because you can't take the lymphatics out. And anybody that has to go through chemo, radiation, or surgeries to remove lymph nodes know how devastating it is to lose even one lymph node. So we don't want to lose anything that God has given us. So when your doctor tells you that removing your gallbladder is not that big of a deal, you slap him in the head and run like hell. You know what I mean? You got to get out of there. That is bad news bear. Oh, but my stone's too big for the duct. Hey, I've seen people clear 300, 400, 500 stones. I've seen people, myself, I've gotten rid of over 300 gallstones, and I never had a symptom, Gardy. But I've done 19 gallbladder flushes. I've got patients that do every month. I just had a lady last week finish a gallbladder flush before she went on her trip up north, and she goes, I want to do this again. When can I do it again? I'm ready. I want to do it today. I'm like, no, you give yourself a couple weeks. So let's just kind of reboot a second. I mean, because it's an intense protocol. We don't want to wear your body out. We want to get it the time to regenerate, time to heal, right? But, man, what if we could save people's gallbladders through education? That's what we do at Living Well. If they tell you can lose your spleen, you'll be okay. You can lose a kidney, you'll be okay. You'll lose a lymph node, you'll be okay. Man, do whatever you can to not lose anything. Because the minute your body's exposed to the elements, it begins to, scar tissue begins to develop instantaneously. The insides are not supposed to be seen by the outside world. But yes, if we looked in there, we would be befuddled of how poorly we've treated. I show pictures of dirty livers that I have on my phone to people, and a clean liver, and they go, ooh. You've seen the analogies of the dirty lung. You've seen analogies of these filtration systems that weren't taken care of and cleansed. And that, guys, is why detoxification must be a part of your 21st century healthcare plan, or you're missing the boat. You're missing it. And you've got to help your body. Don't assume that it's going to fix everything all the time on its own. You've got to be proactive. You've got to get involved in making course correction to help serve the body's liver pathways, the kidney pathways, the digestive pathways, the blood and lymphatic pathways. You got to recognize that the brain might be storing toxins. What if your brain has short circuits all throughout its tissues because it's dirty and the liver couldn't do its job? The bowels couldn't do their job. I see it every day through signs and symptoms. I just don't have the MRIs and everything else to show me the picture. What's the other question?
Okay, so here's the answer from Molly. Toxin Solution by Joseph Pizzorno.
Yeah, that's it.
That was the book. Okay, so this isn't a question. This is from Connie. She said, I didn't know what I know now a year ago, and yes, so thankful for people like you. My son was kicked out of school from his first day, not even 4 hours in. They called me in to withdraw my son, and I got him on meds. His pediatrician was going to treat him for ADHD. We are now living a paleo keto diet, and I have the most wonderful child now. He is not the same child. He himself doesn't want the toxic food out of the grocery store sell. He turned 7 years old yesterday, and I'm so looking forward to the rest of his life. Thankfully, we found you, Dr. Chapa, to serve our mind and body and to help us with our journey. I thought that was a really cool.
Man,
that's a praise report, a testimonial, and a huge.
And it truly is, man. I mean, stuff like that just really blesses me, because people are telling, I've had doctors tell me that making the dietary changes and the supplemental changes have no bearing on the body. And I said, oh, really? Really, really? I mean, you sure you want to state that comment to me? Because if that's the case, then why are you putting people on antacids? Why are you putting people on blood pressure medication? Why are you changing people's psychological state with a drug? Because you're manipulating the chemistry. I'm not manipulating the chemistry. I'm feeding the chemistry, trusting that God designed it to heal and that the body will do functionally what it was designed to do when we give it the environment to do it. And I sit there and I watch patients like this be threatened that they have a bad kid, a dysfunctional kid, when reality is they just need their diet to be altered. And just because you think you've done everything, guys, and you feel like your kid's diet is perfect or more perfect than 90% of the rest of them, you might have to be 91% more perfect. You know what I mean? You might have to be 92 or 93% perfect to get the result you're after because of toxicity, because of metal chemistry issues or overload issues, chemical issues, maybe parasitic or fungal issues. Who knows? But if you're not being evaluated, if you're not under care, if you're not willing to go the distance and to fight the good fight, then you might not find your answer. And that's the old song and dance. Some of these guys that have struck it rich didn't do 90% of the digging. Somebody else did 90% of the digging. This guy did 10% of the work and found the gold mine because the other guy got tired and worn out and quit. Well, I hope you're not quitting on your kid. I hope you're not quitting on your own health. I want to encourage you. Anything your body can develop, it can undevelop. Anything that you have symptom pattern-wise right now doesn't have to be. And it all starts with digestion. It starts with liver detoxification, keto, paleo living. And this kid's probably got access to healthy treats that his taste buds are being, sensationalized over, and they don't flare his brain up or cause his body to go into an inflammatory state in the blood. And this is the stuff that we talk about at our office about, changing the pH of a person, changing the dietary basics and understanding. And man, if you can't give up the addiction of food, if you can't give up the addiction of alcohol, if you can't give up whatever vice you have, we want to encourage you. You just have a nutritional deficiency. We got to get in there and we've got to stir your chemistry and start resetting the sail in a better direction. And that's what we do. We listen to our patients. We get in the trenches with you, and we try to figure out where are we going to start with you. Oh, is it the best we can start is just breakfast? Okay, we're going to just start with breakfast. Is the only thing we can do is just give you a couple new snacks throughout the day plus a couple supplements? Okay, great. That's what we're going to do. Oh, you can't swallow pills? No problem. We'll give you liquid ones. Oh, you can't they can't have this in it? Okay, let's find a better a vegan option if you're, on that train. We're going to do whatever we can do to make sure that we can give you tools and resources, and we're going to work alongside you. And I have my patients. We are a team linked arm in arm working on their thing, their health, because I didn't make them sick, and I'm not going to make them well. But I am going to feed them, and God designed the body to be well, and we're going to give glory to the Lord every step of the way. They just have to have the faith to take one more step. And we know the difference between the winners and losers is what?
One step.
One step, one more step. And then we know that time is our ally. And so they always say time is a healer when you're going through a grieving, catastrophic, unfortunate tragedy, right? Time is the healer. Well, in health and wellness, if you've beaten the tar out of your body over the last 20 years and you're not better in 3 months, you just need a little more time. You know what I mean? And we just got to be willing to go the distance. People go, well, what if you stop eating the way you're eating and stop, training like you're training? Will your body be able to maintain the physique and the look? Will it maintain the brain function, the brain power, the productive capacity? Well, of course not. I mean, it's either a healthy tree or an unhealthy tree. It's a healthy animal or an unhealthy animal. And so when Francis Pottinger did his study on the cats, a part of what he discovered is when he fed processed food to the cats, their bodies fell apart. And by the time they made it down 3 generations, they were producing a minimal fraction of the litters that they were producing before. And the end of the litters that they did survive, they were so malnourished and so degenerate that their ability to recreate anything beyond that was not possible. The body was under such distress. It was living survival mechanisms, not thriving and fruitful, productive mechanisms. And then the cats that were fed healthy food, and they thrived. They did fine. They were in a good environment. Their bodies were procreating and regenerating and dealing with infections well. And this is the thing. Those are small animals. We can see the effects of poisonous water and poisonous food that we feed them earlier in a lifespan. They might only make it 10 years before they start seeing the after effects of bad health, bad food intake, right? But as a human, because we're a little bigger, we're a little bit more sophisticated, we can make it 80, 90, 100 years. Well, science says you can go 125. How come you don't want to have a desire to go 125? Because it might cost you a little bit more effort? Well, okay. It's your life, it's your health, it's your choice. And so we just have to encourage people along the way to step up and work hard. Like anything worth having is worth working for, right? And I always love what Mark Victor Hansen said. Pride in ownership is pride in earnership. So you have to earn longevity. You have to earn vitality. You got to earn good health. You got to earn good wealth. Don't expect a handout. Don't expect to win the lottery. Hey, if you got good genes, woo, you better praise the Lord because you got something. But now recognize that those are 5 talents that you've been given. And if we go to the Bible and we see one was given 1 talent and he buried him and he was cast out and all he had was taken away from him and he was called a wicked servant. But the one that had 3 and the one that had 5 that went and doubled theirs, they were blessed immeasurably. But the one that lost all his stuff was given to the one that had the most talents, that did the most earnership. Isn't that something? So we can learn something from that story, that Bible story, where pride in ownership is pride in earnership. So what do you want your life to look like after you've done built it? Do you want to be healthy and strong? Do you want your kids to be healthy and strong? What are you willing to do to make sure that you're educating them, teaching them, involving them in the health process? Don't just do it for them. Let them get in the kitchen and screw your kitchen up. It ain't that big of a deal. They spill an egg on your counter. You know what? I have seen and even myself, like I have barked a little bit whenever they spill something that's non-water on the floor, But then I realized, wait a second, Chop, dude, chill out, man. It's liquid on the floor. Get on your knees and clean it up. Oh, what an opportunity. You can teach your kid to get on their knees and pick up after themselves. You break something, you repair it, you pay for it, you fix it. You spill it, you clean up the mess. What life lesson can be taught in that little moment instead of barking at them? And my kids get in there. My 8-year-old my 11-year-old just learned how to make oatmeal out of buckwheat. It's a healthier alternative. It's gluten-free. And the way we do it in our house is we add an egg to it, which people are like, what? That sounds crazy. But you can hide protein and amino acids in there, and you can put good, healthy healthy ingredients in there and control all the substrates coming in. Nothing processed, no extra sugar, no high fructose corn syrup, no bad anything in the process, and you're using healthy ingredients, almond milks, coconut milks. You're using Canadian honey or local bought honey, or you're giving your kids an opportunity to get in the kitchen and see recipes come together and see how they can build nutrition for their body to be fully functional in all aspects of life. So anyway, I get excited, obviously. I know it's game time. But here's the deal. Guys, I'm so proud of all of you guys that tune in every week. We ask you to like, share. We ask you to love the comments, make comments, and get involved in your health and wellness journey. Let us be a helper and giving you a catalyst to move your health from where it is to where you want it to be. And at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we believe that all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is and always has been the fundamental backbone that allows you to live well, be well, and stay well, one bite at a time. And we just want to remind you tonight at 6:30 at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, 815 East Main Street in League City, we are going to be teaching how to get through the holidays. Don't stuff it. Love it. What are you loving? You're loving yourself so that you don't overstuff and wind up poisoning yourself through consumption. Come visit us. Let us help you, serve you. We're going to be on Zoom. We're going to be in live. We want you present. We want to see your smiling faces, and we encourage everybody to be there. So if you have friends, family, or loved one that need to hear the show, please share it with them. And we'll see you guys next week. I hope you have a blessed and wonderful week. And reminder, Black Friday, is coming up. So we just want to also encourage you that Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center has an amazing Black Friday special for all those that have packages, 20% off your purchases, and all those that are just regular patrons of Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, 10% off the best of the best in supplemental nutrition that is going to help you live better, be better, and stay better all the days of your life. So give us a call, 281-554-8600. We'll see you next week.
Just after 10 o'clock, it's KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. All right, social media, y'all be blessed. Again, share this out.